Salutations everyone, this is Razor bringing you guys another Overwatch video where today we're going to be talking about Baptiste. Now that he is in competitive, it's a point of order to figure out where he fits, where you should play him, and how you should play him, right? Now, initially, obviously everyone's always excited about a new character, especially when it's a tank and or a healer, because we need more of those, because DPS still take up more than half of the roster, and if we can just get tanks and healers for the next 6 years, that would be great. So getting another healer was a very nice. He has the immortality field, got amplification matrix ult, so unfortunately it's not a defensive ult. Definitely, well, you can kind of use it because it amplifies any damage or healing that you put through it, but it's not going to be as effective as Drop the Beat or Transcendence or Valkyrie. Or possibly even Coalescence. I don't find that it's a very good ultimate in normal competitive. Obviously, you've seen what it can do in Overwatch League. With the coordination and obviously if you combine it with like a Graviton or something, that's pretty sweet because it can tear through a Reinhardt shield pretty quickly, as opposed to other combos where the Diva Bomb might get stopped, or you'll need a hack on him or something like that. So it was a bit of a journey for me to find out where Baptiste really fits in the rotation, where to use him, because for a while I didn't feel like there was a spot where I would use him over Ana, and maybe that is still the case. Outside of, obviously, we know in Overwatch League Baptiste has had some play and some success, and that's mostly in the bunker, and it makes perfect sense as to why. And here you see me fail using the ultimate. It not being a shield is it really puts you out in the open and makes you a target if you don't have a teammate shield out in front of you. So the bunker comp, for those of you who don't know, obviously using Orisa and Bastion, and because a bunker comp is going to be so close together, so clumped up, Baptiste is a fantastic choice because he does AoE healing. And he can do that from a distance as well. And you also have the immortality field to keep the Bastion up, because the bunker falls apart when you lose that Bastion, whether he gets, hooked or hacked or something like that. And the immortality field can keep him up long enough to hopefully kill the thing that might possibly be otherwise killing him. So he's obviously a mainstay and will continue to be in the bunker comp. He doesn't enable bunker comp. He didn't like create it or make it possible. But he definitely has found success being one of the healers in that role, along with, you can either use like Mercy or Zenyatta in the other slot, either for the Discord, the Transcendence, or the Res is where you've mostly seen Mercy be used in the bunker comp, is resing that Orisa when she's the first one out, or the Bastion, so that way that the bunker comp doesn't fall away, because if you don't have both of those together, then you are kind of at a loss and that comp no longer works. And the immortality field is the big point of focus with this character. It's not so much his ultimate or his healing. The immortality field is a very unique thing. He's the only one outside of Zenyatta, when he's transcending, to have the ability to create an invincibility for themselves or for another character. So it's imperative to save it for the right time. You saw me use it against the soldier who was visoring, and I think that was a decent play because the enemy was not at a point to contest any longer, and unless the soldier can get a couple of kills, they are not going to be able to continue that push and that fight on the attack. So I felt like the I feel was a good way to challenge the soldier and nullify him of any opportunities of getting a kill with that ultimate. Now the lamp, as people call it, the eye field, that's what the devs originally called it and still call it internally, has some health, and if people do not prioritize that, it can be a hell of a nuisance. But it is not going to be like an end-all be-all where you can just throw it and prevent people from dying, right? Maze Blizzard will destroy it, and you won't be able to protect anyone who's in a blizzard. Reaper's Blossom will destroy it and will not be able to protect anyone from getting killed from the Blossom. It'll obviously be knocked out by a Dragon Strike, or or Genji Blade, you know, if they hit it, whether on purpose or on accident, before they go after the rest of the targets. So you have to be within line of sight of the lamp in order for it to work. And if you put it in the right spot where, you know, it'll cover maybe a half or a third of a Diva Blizzard, as long as your teammates are within that area, then they'll be safe. Or, you know, not where the Diva Bomb is going to be able to get it while still protecting your teammates. So it was, you know, you have to kind of get used to when to use that. I'm using it here to make sure we don't lose anybody on the defense. I know the game just started, so the enemy definitely does not have an ultimate, so I don't have to save it for the next 15 seconds, so I felt it was a safe place to use there. I'm holding the high ground here, as you want to do with Baptiste. He can get into places where, like, Ana can't, you know, without the assistance of, say, an ice wall or something like that. So his mobility is definitely a boon for him. It's where he'd be able to get and consistently go in and out of places, either to contest, to hold a line of sight, or just to be able to apply heals from a safe distance, as I was doing here on Anubis. And the defense actually ends up working out quite well. Since there's so many different high grounds to cover so many different areas, you know, see, I had the eye field there to try to protect from the Blossom. It did not work. And obviously, you know, you have to count on your teammates actually staying within that area. People still have the instinct of getting away from a large damage source instead of staying where they will be surviving. So that's something you and your teammates have to get used to when playing with a Baptiste, right? That is, and I'm here. Obviously, another big thing is teammates hate getting healed. They're always running away. They think the only way they can get healed is via the health packs. And Baptiste, with his mobility to get off and onto the high ground, he does have the ability, and as well as having a hit scan weapon, to poke down any potential flankers, calling them out, as well as you know, throwing them off. You know, if a Tracer comes in, you know, you can easily be a threat to her, at least get a couple of hits to force her to recall, or to get around, you know, a corner, or you know, something to lessen her threaten and lessen her attack, in order to allow your other healer or whatever teammate that might be in danger, in order to be in a safe position, right? So when it comes to Reapers, you'll be able to threaten them, maybe force a Wraith. When it comes to a Tracer, you might be able to, you can do enough to threaten them where if you can land one full 3-round burst body shot, and then they come in, you'll be able to self-heal through their pulse rifles, right? And you'll be able to give them a run for their money, and at the very least make it a long engagement instead of a free kill for a flanker like a Genji or a Tracer, or you know, a Reaper, or you know, really anything that is getting up in you or your teammates' business and can threaten. You can poke at a Widowmaker long range, or a Pharah. He's not gonna be as good as Ana in those long range hit scan situations, but he's still gonna be able to be a better, more consistent threat than a Zenyatta who doesn't have his shot on, or a Lucio that either gets CC'd or gets antied or something like that. So he has, you know, the ability to cover more bases, especially in the chaos of comp play, and we do hold the defense there. That was a win. So I also wanted to show, you know, what if you don't hold on point A? So I'm going to show a point B hold here. And I've actually had quite a lot of success with Baptiste this season. I haven't used him as much as Ana, but my win percent with Baptiste is like 79% or 82% or something like that. And he does have the ability to pour out a ton of heals. I would say he was closer to a main healer than an off healer. You can use him in either instance. It really depends, as always, what your composition of your team is. But when it comes to Baptiste, he has the ability to get to high ground very quickly and over again. You know, your booster jet boots don't have like a big cooldown or something like that, you can just keep using them over and over again and transition from low to high ground, or keep switching which high ground to throw your enemy off. That's always something that could be a big pain in their side, is especially if they're attacking into a defense, and that, that was an obvious use of the I field right there. Don't know how effective it was, if I saved somebody or not in the moment. Won't be able to tell until as you get to see the final stats there at the end. But a hammer down is a pretty obvious choice to throw the I field there, because it's not in a it's not at threat to be destroyed after the hammer has already gone through. Not that the hammer does a lot of damage, but graviton is going to do some damage, and it might take some damage that's meant for the graved targets. And I mentioned both the Maze Blizzard or the Blossom coming from Reaper. So you have to get used to the I field, especially the distance that it goes and the fact that it will bounce off of things. So you have to get used to the motion of the I fields, especially when it comes to those really particular instances where you need to put it out of harm's way but still have an LOS onto your teammates that might be getting ulted or something like that. It's definitely something that you want to save. It's not something you want to have be left without in a position where you really need it when your team does get grabbed or when they do get hammered or something like that. Even if it doesn't save them, it will allow them to live longer, ideally, and possibly do more damage to the attacking targets, or possibly kill them. And in that case, your I fields did what it needed to do. Even if it didn't save somebody, it still prevented the fight from being a loss, or being as big as of a loss as it could have possibly been. So here you see me on the high ground. I have a great field of view of anyone flanking the right, anyone going down on the left as well, and or even up top if they have like a Widow or somebody who's going up top to go snipe. I have a field of view of everything. You can make, you can be as well of a shot caller on Baptiste as you are with a Lucio or any other healer, and possibly even more so just because of his ability to cover more ground. And you want to call out your I field, be like, don't move, you're in the I field. I know that you're getting shot by a Reaper, or you're getting hooked or something, so they're going to have that initial instinct to run away. So it's important to communicate when your teammates are in the I field, say don't move, or I'm healing you, or stay within the AoE so I can use my auto heal on all of us, because that is also AoE as well. So he has the potential to boost out a ton of healing. Like, I've been an Ana or a Moira and have had a teammate Baptiste that has absolutely out healed me, but it all becomes down to what the comp is, and obviously what type of game mode that you're playing, right? Are you playing 2CP? He's going to be very, very good, especially on defense, especially if you're running bunker comp or something that is particularly reliant on one or two characters, like a Bastion or an Orisa. Or if you're like a Death Ball, that's going to be really clumped up. He's not going to be as good on like escort missions, or possibly certain hybrid ones. So you're going to have to find out where Baptiste fits for all of you. But I feel like there definitely are instances where I would rather have a Baptiste, outside of the bunker comp, which seems to be something that people are at least familiar with, mostly because of the Overwatch League. They see that's when Baptiste does get used. And communication is always going to be important as a healer. That is where your shot calls are going to come from. And you're going to want to coordinate, when you're reloading, when things are off cooldown, and telling people, oh, the Reaper wraithed, he's looking to jump down, I'm going to throw my I field, don't move, or, various things like that, calling out flankers, whether it be a Widow or a Tracer or a Sombra or something. You see, I had to deal with a Lucio running around, I had to deal with Sombra cloaking and decloaking all over the place, and I had the Soldier contesting me, and was still having relative success there, and we ended up winning on that defense because we had a Symmetra and her turrets were everywhere, so it was nice and easy. So Baptiste definitely has a place. His pick rate is very low, especially the higher that you go up, but for certain comps and especially for defenses, he might be better than a Moira or a Mercy or an Ana in various circumstances. depending on what kind of composition you are running and how effective you can be at pumping out those heals, because he can heal with the best of them when used correctly.